excited to welcome to this week's episode of the Hog Talk, former Arkansas linebacker Brooks Ellis. So let's start with you, Brooks. How's life? What are you up to? Let's know what's going on.
Life is good, guys. Thanks for having me on. It's fun to talk hog ball and talk life. So I appreciate it. Things are good. I got back from DC this past May. I was at Georgetown for a year getting a master's degree. Got back to Fayetteville, started doing some private football lessons, and that's blossomed into doing that pretty much full time now. Um, I got into medical school in February, decided to defer. So I'm doing this private coaching thing in the meantime, and I'll be going to med school next year down in Little Rock. So I'm enjoying it. It's been fun to be back and watch the Hogs and just kind of, coach these young bucks up and try to get them right. So it's been fun. I'm enjoying life right now.
Yeah. So you mentioned going to medical school. Is there any specific focus you want to focus on? Anything like that?
Yeah, so I'm like a big natural holistic guy. I got my master's in integrative medicine, so that's like all the different therapies outside of surgery and pharmaceuticals, and how you can use those to improve the healthcare system. So my goal is to go into sports medicine and utilize an integrative, holistic approach. There's something called functional medicine, which treats the root cause of disease, and so I want to get a sports medicine fellowship and then a functional medicine fellowship on top of that. Which it'll take a little bit of time, but it's what I want to do. So it'll be worth it.
Hey man, nothing worth doing is ever easy. You know what they say.
Yeah, for sure.
That's really cool to hear, man. It's always good to see former players kind of taking different approaches in life and pursuing further education after college, things of that nature. So that's really good to see, and wish you nothing but the best in that, man. That's a big undertaking. So good luck in all that. And you're one of those guys that I think can accomplish it for sure.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So now let's take a step back, look down memory lane, and walk us through, your recruiting process. What was that like for you? Being a home state kid from Fayetteville High.
Yeah, I think I was pretty clueless back in the recruiting when I was getting recruited. I was just like, I was getting letters from Ole Miss and different schools and Vanderbilt, and I was just kind of going with the flow. So it was like just one week after another, you keep playing well and you keep getting letters, and it's just kind of like started, snowballing, and eventually Arkansas hopped on board, and we had a good crew at Fayetteville with Austin and Alex, and a lot of other guys too. But those are the two that I ended up playing with in college. But it's just you just kind of go with the flow, and coaches come watch you play, and you try to do the best you can. And Coach Patton would kind of like in spring ball specifically, we had Stanford come watch, and he set up a play where I'm pretty sure he purposefully like designed for me to get the interception, and of course freaking dropped it. It was just like it was right in my hands. I dropped this just, oh my God, immaculate ball right to me. And unfortunately, I'm not sure if that's the reason I didn't get the offer, but it certainly didn't help. But it was fun because I got to visit a bunch of different schools, not on official visits, but unofficial, and went to Vanderbilt and Oklahoma State, and Notre Dame came to visit. And so just getting all this attention from all these different schools is really, really cool. I was young, didn't really know what that meant. I was just like, oh, this is sick. Like, I guess, it'd be cool to go here, cool to go here. So you're just kind of going with the flow and enjoying every step of the way. I was lucky to have a really good program in Arkansas uh, recruit me, and also have two of my best friends come along with me. So we were able to do that. It was kind of a crazy time to commit to Arkansas though, because obviously we had Bobby Petrino's deal, and then John L. Smith was a crazy year. Then we got Bielema, who came in and wanted us to be the bell cows of the recruiting class, and so we stayed committed. But we ended up getting an incredible class in Alex Collins and Denver Kirkland and Hunter Henry and a whole bunch of different names, Marshall Spate. Like it was a pretty crazy class. But when me and Austin and Alex committed, we committed to the program. We knew we wanted to play together. We won 2 state championships. We were best friends. Like it was really hard to separate from like playing at home. I had my whole family here. My granddad played for the Hogs. And then my 2 best friends were going to play there at the same time. Like that's a pretty, it's a pretty hard deal to turn down, so like it's, it was just a crazy experience. And looking back, I was offered by some pretty incredible programs like Notre Dame and Vanderbilt, Yale, like, a more academically focused Brooks probably would have taken those schools. But I'm glad, I'm happy with this decision I made. I mean, playing in the SEC, there's nothing there's no competition. Like you're playing against Alabama and Tennessee and LSU and all these Florida. Like we're playing against some incredible schools, and so there's really no competition for playing in the SEC and with your best friends and with Arkansas is a great academic program as well. Obviously it's no Ivy League, but it's in the SEC, so you're getting a really good education as well. So and that was important to me. So it was just recruiting's a weird time. You're just kind of you're young. I'm 18 years old, and you're just kind of like, what the heck is happening? And you're getting all this attention, so it's kind of crazy. But it was fun, and I think I picked the right decision made the right decision with Arkansas.
Well, we're not going to argue that one at all. We loved watching you play back in the day, man.
Yeah.
So, you spoke on a little bit. Coach Bielema coming in. That was the year you guys came in. What was it like playing for Coach Bielema? And then obviously Pittman was his O-line coach at the time. Did you have a lot of interaction with Pittman at all, being a defensive player, or what was that like playing for both of those guys?
I mean, we were always going. So I'll start with the Bielema question. He was a tough coach to play for. I mean, he required a lot. He really made you work in fall camp, and he kind of had a chill side, but most of the time he was very tough and required a lot out of you, and that made his players better. So it was just always always working. We had the best. I felt like we had the best strength coach in the country, and Coach Herbert, who's now at Michigan, who's like one of the highest paid strength coaches in the country. I think he's probably the highest paid strength coach at this point. But yeah, we had a lot of interactions with Sam Pittman too. So on our official visit, it was him and Coach Jim Chaney, who were like they were the class clowns. Like they were cracking jokes. Like honestly, that made me so much more committed to Arkansas was seeing them. Like they were just so cool, and like they were, it made the experience so much fun. And you just believed in what, like they could crack jokes, but they could also talk about football side of it immediately right afterwards. And you're getting into the thick of it, and they know what they're talking about. So having them on the official, like, solidified my interest in Arkansas. Like it was really cool to see him. And when we finally got to campus and we got to training camp, Sam Pittman was, we competed every single day. Like it was during inside drill, we were going head to head, offensive line against the linebackers of the D line. So it was a constant battle, and he would always walk up to me before team meetings, and say like, just getting on to me about like missing blocks or avoiding the fullbacks or like making his O lineman look bad, or maybe he got me one day, like, and that happened way too often. But maybe he got me and he would like, dog on me about that. So he was always. I mean, I remember one time. I'm not a fullback. I don't like fitting fullbacks. I don't like hitting fullbacks head on. I like avoiding blockers and going to make the tackle. That's my specialty. So an inside drill, which is like it's just the front seven on defense, and then the O line and the fullbacks and running backs and tight ends. So it's just the box, right? It's just we're just running. It's a straight. It's a physicality toughness drill. There's so many times he would send Kiero Small right down the middle to fit me up, and I would do my best not to look like a wimp and like kind of fit him up, but also I would like kind of duck my shoulders and dip around him and go make the play. And I remember him coming up to me one meeting and he was like, "Hey, you don't like fullbacks, do you?" And he was like trying to get under my skin. I was like, "Nah, they're fine. They're fine. I don't mind them. Like, bring them on, coach. Give me some more." So he's always trying to find ways to get under your skin, like to mess with you. But he wants the best for you. He's trying to make you the best player that he can. So he's a fun coach to be around, but he's also tough and makes you better. So it was fun.
Yeah, that's cool perspective to hear, things like that and that nature. And Kiero Small, I think it fits him that he's one of the, I think he's right up there at being a really good strength and conditioning coach as well. I think he fell into that role, especially with his style of play at Arkansas, like you mentioned, hard-nosed fullback, the bowling ball in a sense. So I think it's fitting to see him as a strength and conditioning coach today.
Yeah, for sure. Him and Tank Wright, they were the coaches when I was there. I mean, that's a perfect fit. Like he's built for the weight room. He would bowling ball right there.
No doubt about it. I remember a lot of his plays, man.
Yeah. Yeah. He was a wrecker. I mean, he was a great player.
Yeah. So now looking back, playing from 13 to 16 with Arkansas, is there one specific thing you'd say was your favorite game or your favorite memory as a Razorback?
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's so many, like the LSU game where the fans rushed the field. That was like our first SEC win. Like that was huge.
It was so cold that night. I was actually there for that game.
Yeah, brutal. Oh my God. I mean, I couldn't imagine it for the fans, but for us, it was, we're running around, so it's a little bit better. That game was fun. TCU was great. I mean, you can't beat a pick six. That's probably my favorite play, obviously. TCU was great. Let's say like Florida at home. That was awesome. That was a great game. We had the anthracite jerseys. That was really fun. Tennessee at their place, they took the opening kickoff for a touchdown. Place went nuts. You couldn't I'm pretty sure I lost some hearing that on that moment. But then we come back and win the game. Like that was pretty incredible. A lot of good memories. Even going to Alabama. Like I always say Alabama is my favorite place to play because it's like a pro atmosphere. They got TVs in all four corners. They got the LED lights. The fans are in sync with their pom pom singing "Sweet Home Alabama" or whatever it is. Like it's just a crazy atmosphere, and it's just so fun to play in. And even though we lost both times we went there, we almost got them in 2015 until the fourth quarter, and then they just let it loose, took the top off of us, and so. But honestly, I had a pretty decent game that game, so I'll take it. But yeah, games like that, you're just playing against the best players, best teams, best coaches, best fan bases, and they're going crazy, and it's just an electric atmosphere that you can never forget. It's hard to replicate.
Yeah, I think that Ole Miss game that was right after that LSU game was another really fun one. Another shutout game.
Oh, that was big.
It was raining. It was crazy. That was another crazy game. I remember, I think it was Rohan Gaines had that 100-yard pick six in that game. I think that was Rohan Gaines.
That was great.
What a game. Yeah, it's some good memories for sure. It's always fun watching the whole crew of you guys, man. That was some of my favorite memories as a Hog fan.
Yeah.
I was about to say, I remember
Yeah.
that LSU game because that was, I believe, first or second row there in the student section. So, whenever we rushed the field, that was pretty crazy. I will say, that exciting time, like you said, first SEC win, for Coach Bielema and you guys, a lot of fun times.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of fun times, a lot of not so fun times. We had the perfect mix, I think.
Builds character, you know what I mean? Well, we'll kind of jump out of college a
Unfortunately.
little bit. Can you walk us through a little bit of your time as a pro with the Patriots and the Jags?
Yeah. So I went undrafted in 2017. Was picked up, had a couple different interests or teams that were interested, and then eventually went to the Patriots. Um, Stayed with them until training camp, and it was kind of a crazy time. Like almost immediately, you were just in a ball of stress, like just severe stress, more stress than I've ever experienced in my life. Like the rookie mini camp, they had like 60 tryout players come in. So you're competing with those guys. I mean, you kind of have a solidified spot, but you're always your job, you just feel like your job is never secure. So it's a good thing, but also it's like an extra level of stress that you have to deal with. Um, and then it was just a grind. Like you're grinding with a team that just won the Super Bowl. Uh, I think they beat Atlanta in that crazy game where they were down 28-3. So a lot of like high expectations. This team, like a lot of veterans that expected a lot out of you. So it was, you're walking into greatness, and you have to show up every single day and put your best foot forward, or else you're gonna get replaced. Because throughout the summer, throughout the training camp, like they had tryouts pretty much like every single, like at least once a week, looking to kind of scrape the bottom of the pile, like to keep churning the bottom of the barrel. And so it's very stressful, but at the same time, it was just kind of surreal. Like you're walking around with some of the grades, and you're just like, wow, this is pretty crazy. And there's no time to ooh and ah about like who you're playing with. It's like it's go time. Like it's a full-time job. You're there to work. You're there to get better. Uh, Unfortunately, I didn't have a great training camp. I was cut after training camp, and uh, went back home, spent some time just training. Went back to the weight room and had a couple different tryouts, and then eventually Thanksgiving of 2017, I got picked up, or I had a tryout with the Jaguars and was picked up by them. Luckily, they were doing really well that year, and they went to the AFC Championship. So that was pretty sick. They actually played the Patriots. So it was a little. I was so close to going to the Super Bowl. Oh my God, I was so pissed. And the Patriots beat us, and I had a couple buddies that were still on the team. And I was pretty salty. Like I didn't text them congratulations. I was so like, I was just a little upset. I was upset because they got to go and I didn't. But it was a super cool process. Like they had like five or six Pro Bowlers that year on the defensive side. So being able to play with like Miles Jack and Calais Campbell and Telvin Smith, and we had Jalen Ramsey. Oh my God, my allergies are killing me right now. Um, just guys like that, like they were incredible players, still are, and just to learn from them was pretty crazy. So we also had the boat, Blake Bortles, uh, best of all time.
Oh
And
man.
he's yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm glad y'all caught that. Um, but it was crazy. So I mean, same thing. You walk in and it's a full-time job. You're ready to go. And I was on the practice squad, so you're just servicing. You're just being as good of a scout team player as you possibly can, and did that for the rest of the year. The off season, I wanted to find something that like gave me an extra edge. So I changed my diet a little bit. I changed my workout plan, and I got really lean. I lost a lot of body fat, felt really good. Mentally, I was super clear and was doing really well throughout the spring ball, summer, and training camp. but like early on in training camp, I suffered a concussion, and that's what took me out. And that's what I mean. I did play a preseason game that year, so I mean, if you don't have film, it's really hard to continue playing. So unfortunately, I was cut, and um, that was the end of my career. But it was a great time. It was a great experience. Unfortunately, the concussion was not the way that anyone expects to leave, and nobody really tells you that it's the end of the road. But that was it, and I miss it. To be honest, I miss it. I wish I could go back, but I'm grateful for the experience. I mean, it was. I mean, not many people get to say they did that, and I feel like, even though I feel like I did leave some on the table, I feel like I did make the most of it, and I did the best I could with what I had. Um, so it was a great time, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Thanks for sharing that, man. That's a really cool story to hear, and glad you kind of made it out the other side, at least fairly healthy. You got a lot of guys, if they play a few years in the league, they come out with long-lasting knee injuries, things of that nature. So
Yeah.
good to have you fully healthy, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good to be healthy.
I was about to say, yeah,
Very blessed.
that concussion deal is nothing to play with. I think one of the thing to look at, especially from last season, you look at Tua with the Dolphins last year. That was a crazy scenario with him and that concussion issue he had.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, honestly, I think the concussion issue is severely underplayed. I think it's a lot worse than people think. It needs to it needs to get more attention because, you know, even though people aren't sidelined from a concussion, they're still getting micro hits to their head that are causing downstream issues later on. I mean, it can take up to 7 years to fully feel the effects of a concussion. And, you know, obviously the NFL is a business, and so, they want to make as much money as they possibly can. Um, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I think that yeah, I think that I kind of already did, but let's get back out of it. So I think the like players, trainers, coaches really need to pay more attention to concussions because I think what matters most in this world is our attention and is our mind. Like it's mind, body, spirit. So mind, it plays an equal role in that regard. And if we don't have our mind, especially you know when we're like 50 years old and we have kids and we can't even play with them or we don't remember them or we have early onset dementia or whatever it is. And I'm not saying I'm going to have that because I'm doing the things I need to fix my health and to make sure my mind is clear. But the longer you play, the more chance you're going to get that that you have mind issues. So I think it's a serious issue that we need to take more pay more attention to.
I think we could all agree with that for sure.
Yeah, agreed. And so as we kind of start to wrap up here, this is maybe the fun part of the questions here. So what do you think of this Arkansas team so far this season? Anything specific standing out to you from, maybe last year to this year or the scheming, anything like that?
Well, I think the defense is playing a lot better. I think they're playing faster. I think it's, even though they're not perfect, but no defense is perfect. And I think they've improved significantly from last year. And it's fun to see those guys fly around. We got some playmakers on the D line. We got some playmakers in the backfield. And I think we're much more disciplined than we were last year and able to make more plays. So that's exciting to see. I'm a little worried about the O-line. I think everybody is. I just want to see more urgency, more intensity, more passion out there. I think there's a group of guys on the team that are not showing the urgency or the passion that they used to show. And I think that's what we need at this point. Like we can't be waiting around for a big play to happen to have that excitement. You have to have it regardless of what's happening in the game. And especially when we're not doing well, we have to have somebody step up and take control and be a leader out there. And I just don't see that happening. We're making a lot of mistakes. I feel like we're making a lot of mental mistakes, and it's in bad in situations in which we cannot make mistakes. And so, I think that we have to fix those. I believe wholeheartedly in Sam Pittman. I think he'll do the right thing. Um, I think he's putting the right people in the right position, and maybe we could, sitting back like this, being armchair experts, like it's easy to say, oh, we should be doing this or this or this, but there's they have a lot of guys looking at the film, and they're not going to put somebody in there or not put somebody in there that they don't think can help them win the game. So uh, I believe in him. I think he's a great coach. I think he's a great leader of men. And we've got some issues to clean up, but I think we're gonna get it. And it's a gauntlet coming up, and we got to have that passion. I think that's the biggest key. If we don't go into Death Valley with the passion that we know we're going to win or we know we can win, then it's never going to work. So we got to have some leaders step up and take control.
I think that's a really good take on the situation. We talked about it a little bit earlier in this episode and in some previous episodes too, after week 1 and 2. Just on some of the things that we kind of see that we're struggling. Obviously, the offensive line is probably the main area where obviously a lot of the dominoes fall after that one. If you have some issues, you're not going to be able to run the ball as well. KJ is getting pressured a little bit more than maybe he should be. Thought the pass blocking held up pretty well in the first 2 games, but got exposed a little bit against BYU. So a lot of things to shore up there. But I really appreciate your take on the way the coaches are able to ready the guys up, and how you're looking to see one of those guys maybe step up and kind of be that leader on the field and bring that intensity even when the moments aren't intense. I think that's something that we haven't mentioned maybe as much as we should have, just from fans' perspective. Who's going to be that guy that steps up and kind of can help lead just the offensive line alone. I mean, you're seeing guys step up on defense. Chris Paul's obviously a great linebacker that's kind of leading the defense out there. I think Jaheim Thomas has done a great job. And then you got Landon Jackson, who's kind of a good leader as well. But on the offensive line side thing, I mean, I think everybody's looking at Bo Limmer to kind of be that next Frank Ragnow kind of top center that leads everybody. I just don't think we've seen that quite yet. I'm hoping somebody can kind of step up and fill that role that you're kind of mentioning there. That's a great take.
Yeah, it's important. You got to have that. You got to have that vocal leader, and I think that's something that I wish I would have done better when I was there. I was more of just like a hard work, goes to the, keep your head down and just work hard, and everybody's going to follow you. But you have to be vocal. You have to let people know. You have to express yourself and let people know that, to win in this league requires your best effort on every single play, extreme focus, and coordination between all 11 guys. And if you're not coordinated, if you're not working together, and if you don't trust one another, you're never going to win, right? And so someone has to step up and tell people, hey, this is real. Like, the season's happening right now. Someone's like, we got to start playing together. We got to, like, we can't let this season go by and we just, barely scratch the surface of of our potential, of what we were capable of. Right. We have a lot of potential on this team. I've heard countless times that this is probably one of the most talented teams that we've had the past X amount of years. So we need to make the most of it. Someone's got to step up and expect more out of this team. And I think it can happen. We just got to have that guy that does it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think one big thing that a lot of people are kind of almost putting a microscope on the season is, especially on that offensive side of the ball, is you've got Dan Enos coming back in, was there when you were there with Coach Bielema, left, had a couple stops in between, but is now back for the Hogs. So, what do you think about the return of Dan Enos and what he could do with KJ in this offense?
Yeah, I love Dan Enos. I thought he did great for us when he was here back in 2013 to 16. He wasn't here the whole time, but he was there for a lot of the time. I think something hasn't clicked yet. Something's not right between him and KJ, or him and the offense, or maybe they're still trying to find their groove. And I think they need to find it. Let's find it. soon enough, right? Let's get on it. Let's do something to try to find that groove. But I believe in them. I don't know. I'm not a big X's and O's guys. Like I don't look at, they should be doing this player, that player, whatever. I'm more of like, what's their energy? What's their attitude looking like? What's the ethos of the team looking like? And it just doesn't seem like we have that leader that's stepping up and saying, hey, we're going to get this first down right now. Like on twice on fourth down last week, we were in shotgun, and maybe that's not the right play, but doesn't matter what play is called. Go get the first down. We got to have that mindset. Like we're going to get this no matter what. And I didn't see that out of the players. And so, I'm not pointing any fingers, but someone's got to step up. Even the coaches got to step up and say, hey, this is not the Razorback team that people are used to, and this is not the Razorback team that's going to continue play it, because we expect a lot more out of our team than this. Like we've got to get it going, and so someone's got to step up. But I keep saying that, but I think they'll get it. I think they'll find their groove and find something that works for the whole team to stay coordinated, to play together, and to get something going.
Yeah, that's true. So, wrapping up here, any score predictions, any type of predictions for this weekend down in LSU and Death Valley?
I'm going to manifest some positive energy. Let's go 30, 35, 34, Arkansas. We're taking
Cam Little's going to have a walk-off kick again.
Yes, sir.
That's kind of my feeling. We can keep it close, dude. I think we've got a shot. You just can't let anything get away from you.
Yeah,
got to
exactly.
not have the mistakes. To your point, you're looking for that person to really step up, and I think bring the discipline back that it didn't seem like we really had against BYU. I mean, you had 13 or 14 penalties for over 130 yards, penalty yards. So that's something that's got to get cleaned up as well. And that's kind of your point, the lack of focus, the lack of discipline, and you cannot continue with that type of trend and expect to win in the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of distractions nowadays with the NIL, with everything that could happen there. Like, am I jealous that I didn't have it? Yeah. Am I happy for him? Yeah. But I think there's a lot of distractions, and I think they need to realize the number one thing that matters right now is winning. Right? You can make all this money, you can do all these things, right, in college, but if you went 3-9, which we did my freshman year, like that stings. Like that's almost a wasted year. Like we didn't do anything. We didn't win any of the games that we should have won, right? And you don't want to look back on your career and think, oh, we should have won this game, we should have won that game. Like, what could I have done better? And I went to all these parties and I made all this money and like I got all these girls, but we didn't win games. Winning games is the only thing that matters as a college athlete, right? And so if you're focused on other things, which I'm not saying they are, but it's possible, we need to refocus and realize that, what matters right now is winning and leaving a positive legacy for the Hogs and for future Hogs and for future generations, right? Let them know, like when I was playing with the Hogs, we did it right. Right. So we played right. We had discipline. We played hard. We were tough. And that's what people need to know. When you leave the field, people need to know that that's a tough team. That's a well-coached team. That's a team that wants to be there. And I don't know if I saw that last week. So we got to get that going for this week.
Couldn't have said it better myself, man.
Yeah. So we just want to thank you again for taking time, talk with us. Really great conversation, great perspectives on things, and, we wish you best of luck with, your coaching you're doing right now, your future with medical school, excited things for you. So, good luck there. And, thanks for taking the time to join us.
Yeah. Thank you all. I appreciate it. This is fun. Best of luck. Best of luck to y'all too. Thanks, I think y'all have a great thing going. So keep it up and keep grinding. Go Hogs.
Well, Pig, we appreciate you coming on.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sir. Thank y'all.